Hello, I'm Sidonie Maroon. I'm a chef, writer, and educator. The chapatis we're going to make today, sunflower seeds is one of the ingredients. And I just want to take a moment to, when you're working with sunflower seeds, be sure to play with them. Put your fingers in there a little bit and just take that extra moment to stir them around and smell them. And think for a moment about where these seeds came from. And if you've ever grown sunflower seeds and ever seen birds land on them and their bright, happy, big sunflower faces, and just think about how many sunflowers are in that one bowl of sunflowers. And I think that's a very important thing when you're going to make a chapati out of sunflower seed flour, is just to take a moment to remember where that flour is coming from. And one of the reasons I love working with sunflower seeds is the fact that they're readily available. You can get them easily in bulk. They're nicely priced, and they make a beautiful flour very easily in a Vitamix or high-powered blender. So I love using them. They also are high fiber. They're very, very good for your digestive tract, and they're high in vitamin E. So I love sunflower seeds. Another ingredient we're going to use in the chapati is psyllium husk powder. Now, psyllium husk powder is originally from India. So I think it's appropriate that it's in this recipe. And it comes from the plantago, and it is just this little teeny tiny seed that's very, very gelatinous when you put water in it. So it's very good for your digestive tract, and it helps your microbiome. They love all of the fiber in the psyllium husk, and it's really great for making breads that don't have any grains in them, because the gels in the psyllium husk act as a binder. And another ingredient in this chapati is flaxseed. Both psyllium, sunflower seed, and flaxseed people have been eating them for, at least 5,000 to 6,000 to 7,000 years. And so they're a known superfood. Flaxseed also comes from, if you think of linseed oil or linen, they both come from the flax plant. And it also makes a gel when you put water on it, and it creates a binding power and is very good for your digestive tract. It also has a lot of omega-3 fatty acids. It's just an amazing superfood, flaxseed. Another ingredient in the chapati is baking powder, and it just serves the purpose of leavening. And salt. So this is a flaked sea salt, and I think it's really important to use good salt in anything that you cook. And a sea salt has great flavor, but it also has all of the really important trace minerals that you want in your food. So go ahead and seek out some good sea salt to use in your food. Another ingredient we're using is raw apple cider vinegar, and this is going to be a catalyst with our boiling hot water, and it's going to interact with the baking powder, and it creates a little bit of acidity, which is very, very important for the digestion and also the forming of the dough with the sunflower and the psyllium and the flaxseed. So it's a science and an art together making the chapatis. First thing we're going to do is put 1 1/4 cups of sunflower seed into the Vitamix, and then 5 tablespoons of psyllium husk powder. Now it's really important that you use psyllium husk powder instead of just psyllium husk, because it will weigh differently. And this is ground flaxseed, and you can use golden or brown, doesn't matter. And there are 4 tablespoons of that. And then 2 tablespoons of baking powder. I use the aluminum free, and that goes in. And then 1 teaspoon of sea salt. And it's really important to be consistent with your salt. So if you use a fine salt or a flake salt or a coarse salt, just be sure to use the same every time you make it. This recipe calls for a fine salt. And I'm going to put those together, put our lid on, and hold your ears. So when you hear that motor slow down, that's when you need to stop. It's really important when you're mixing. What you're going to do is you're going to listen to the Vitamix. And when the motor starts slowing down, that's the point where you have a flour and not a butter, because you don't want to go to the point where you have sunflower seed butter instead of flour. So we're going to pour. You can kind of use your hands here to get it all in. Make sure you got it all out. So the important step here is before you pour the water in, which needs to be very hot and boiling, as close to boiling as you can get, you just want to get your fingers in here and get any little clumps and lumps out. And this is where the absolute magic starts, because this is just such an interesting dough, what's going to happen. So here we are, we have our flour, and we're going to put in our vinegar right into the boiling water, and then just right in like that. And look at that. And just as quick as you can, you're going to stir that around. And you see how that just immediately gels. What's happening there is that the boiling water is helping to gelatinize those starches. So if you've ever made a cream puff or choux paste, it's kind of the same process. It's just making this really thick dough that's also nicely soft. And you can kind of move it around almost immediately like this. And we're going to take a little bit of oil and put it on our hands. And now take up the dough and just take your hand and eyeball in half like that. And then we're going to take each half and go in half again. And I can't tell you how much fun this is. This is great fun. The dough is warm and it's like Play-Doh consistency. And you can just kind of move it around. So then each one of these, we're going to, once again, squeeze them into 3 and kind of eyeball that they're the same size. Doesn't really matter. The chapati police will not come and give you a ticket. And I'm going to take another one here until you have 3 times 4. We have 12. Isn't that amazing? You know, you can take these little balls too and put them in the oven and bake them as little buns, and they come out just absolutely beautifully. But that's not the recipe for today. So now we're going to use a tortilla press to make our chapatis flat. And you can use parchment paper. I put a little bit of oil, not very much, and you're just going to rub it on this side, and you can kind of get the other one oily at the same time. Give it a little press. Put your press down and just enough pressure. Kind of get the hang of the pressure after a while. And I can't tell you how satisfying this process is. And when you make these chapatis on a daily basis, which we go through them at my house, they're so simple to make. You really get the hang of this, and it's very rhythmic and soothing and just a wonderful. Children love to do it, which means, of course, everybody loves to do it. Press, and it's just now I want you to look for a moment how beautiful that is and how well it hangs together. And you can just stack them all before you griddle, or you can get some started on the griddle and keep going. And the wonderful thing about these doughs is that the dough stays very supple. In fact, this morning I had just some of the round balls left in the refrigerator that were two days old from a cooking class, and I pressed them and they were perfectly fine. So now we're going to griddle our chapatis, and it's important to preheat your griddle for at least 15 minutes. Get it up to heat, a nice medium high, and your griddle will not have any oil or fat on it at all. It's going to be dry griddled. So we're just going to put our chapatis on, and we're going to time 3 minutes on one side. They smell nutty, and it's one of the things I love about these chapatis is that you can griddle them ahead of time and keep them in your fridge, or you could probably even freeze them. And then when you heat them back up on a griddle, the outside gets so toasty and nutty. They are just absolutely delicious. And the gels from the psyllium powder and the flax meal have had time to rest completely when they've cooled. And so when you heat them back up again, they're just flexible, and you can use them for wraps. You can use them for tacos. I have been making salmon salad and melted cheese sandwiches with them lately. Is my favorite. Oh, they smell so good. And you can see here, they're getting a little bit puffy. And what you want is a nice brown on the other side. And I have made so many of these that I pretty much have it down to 3 minutes on one side and 2 minutes on the other. So see how they're turning nice and brown? And then 2 minutes on the second side. So I just set the timer for 2 minutes, and that batch will be done. So just going to check the brownness. Oh, that looks great. So what I love to do with these when they're already cooked is we have a little bit of Swiss Gruyere cheese. I'm just gonna let it melt right on there. And a little bit of HP sauce. Cheese is starting to bubble. These wonderful chapatis are a carrier for just about anything. Here we've got some melted cheese. Yum. Really, really good. Delicious.
So talk to me.
Okay, Alan.
Who are you?
So you're just gonna have to erase all this. Once I get going, I'll be fine. Yeah. Hello, I'm Sidonie Maroon, educator, writer, chef, and the question was, how did I